When David McPherson joined the Missouri State Highway Patrol in the 1960s, he was the first person of color to do so. Breaking the color barriers came with its cost, as McPherson had to withstand racism and discrimination from both his employers and the citizens he policed. His ability to endure the adversity he faced and his efforts to recruit women and other people of color ensured that others would have the opportunity to follow in his footsteps. David McPherson was born in 1941 in St. Louis to Earl and Daisy McPherson. David's father, Earl, was a minister from Tennessee, while his mother was from Mississippi. McPherson grew up on Newberry Terrace, which he described as an integrated neighborhood. Growing up in an integrated neighborhood helped prepare Mr. McPherson to be able to interact with all different kinds of people.
My neighborhood at that point was a totally integrated neighborhood. We had Jewish families, we had Puerto Rican families, we had black families, and we had white families. We had baseball players, we had doctors, all around us in the neighborhood. And the reality of that is I grew up not understanding, because it wasn't taught in the home, not understanding this division of races.
Even with exposures to other groups of people, David attended Sumner High School, where he made several lifelong friends. Here, David talks about the impact attending the all-black high school had on his life and career.
Sumner High School, in my time, was in some respects better than college, because the teachers were so dedicated. They were bound and determined to make something out of you, and they instilled a sense of pride.
After high school, David McPherson joined the Air Force in 1961, serving 4 years of active duty and 2 years of reserves duty, working in combat, defense, and security. It was in the beginning of his time with the Air Force that he recalls his earliest experience with racism.
I tell the story about I was in the Air Force. I buddied up with a guy who was going to Charleston, South Carolina, the same place I was going. We were on the train, and we rode a train from St. Louis to Charleston, South Carolina. We arrived in Charleston, South Carolina in the middle of the night. As a matter of fact, it was after 12 o'clock. And so we said, well, we saw a guy standing on the corner. We asked him, how far is it to the base? He said, well, it's too far to walk. He says, the bus will take you out, but the bus doesn't run until 7 o'clock in the morning. And I said, oh. So I looked down the street and I saw this big sign up in the air that said USO. I said, oh, there's a USO. Why don't we go down there and get a room? So me and this guy, who happened to be white, we walked down the street to the USO, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning by now, and this guy behind the desk, I said, do you guys have any vacancies? And he says, yes, we have vacancies. He said, however, he can stay here, but you can't. Now, we're both standing there in Air Force Blue. We're both in the military. We're in Charleston, South Carolina, 1 o'clock in the morning, and this guy tells me, I said, what? See, that's how green I was. I said, what do you mean that he can stay here and I can't? He said, we don't allow black people to stay here in the USO. I said, the USO? He said, well, you have to go to the black USO. I said, the black USO. I said, well, where's the black USO? He says, well, just take a cab outside. So the guy that's with me, he said, well, come on, Dave. He said, I'll go to the black USO with you. I said, wait a minute. Now, if I can't stay here at the white USO, what makes you think you can stay at the black USO? So I said, no, best thing for you to do is you stay here tonight. I'm going to take a cab to the black USO, and I'll meet you here in the morning, and we'll go out to the base. That was the first time in my life that I had ever been told that I couldn't stay somewhere because of the color of my skin.
When McPherson completed his commitment to the Air Force, he returned with a goal of joining law enforcement. To him, it was a natural transition from serving and protecting the country to serving and protecting its citizens. Once he noticed his Air Force roommate scrolling through a pamphlet for the Indiana State Police, it gave him the idea of joining the Missouri State Highway Patrol. McPherson faced opposition at every step. Being made to wait hours to get an application was the only beginning of his struggles. He took the written exam 3 times after they claimed to lose his first 2 tests. And even after passing that exam, he was falsely told he failed his eye exam. Determined, McPherson knew he had the right to become a trooper. So after passing a separate eye exam with a different optometrist, he sought the support of Alderman Bill Clay, who used his influence to help McPherson fight for his rights.
I was blind as a bat. I just left the ophthalmologist's office, and he looked at the thing. He says, "Bill, you got to look at this." So Bill comes out, and he looks at it, and right in front of me, he picks up the phone, and he dials the governor, who was Warren Hearns at the time. He said, "Warren, I told you you ran a racist organization called the Missouri State Highway Patrol." He says, "and now I got the proof." He says, "I'm going to give you 24 hours to straighten this mess out. And if you don't, I'm going to release my information to both newspapers, which happen to be the Post-Dispatch and the Globe Democrat." Slammed the phone down. And I said, what am I supposed to do? You just ticked off the governor. And everybody. He said, "Don't do anything. Just go home." He said, and wait.
With that, McPherson began training to become a state trooper. During the 12 weeks of training, he was met with more racist effort to intimidate him, but they also failed.
About 9:15, bam, he come up at my door, and my roommate said, "Come in." And nobody came in, so he got up and he opened the door. And there's 6 guys in white sheets with lanterns. and I guess I was supposed to be intimidated by that. So I said, "White sheets." So I reached under my bed and I got my Brogan. And the first guy through the door, I pumped him right in the middle of the head with my Brogan. It was just white sheet as far as I know. And so the rest of the guys turned and ran. My roommate said, "Who are those guys?" I said, "Hey, tomorrow morning at breakfast, we're going to see who one of them was, because I parted his scalp good with that boot."
McPherson suffered other attacks over the 12 weeks of training to become the first black Missouri State Highway Patrolman. He served on the Highway Patrol for 9 years. After all he went through to become a trooper, McPherson made it his mission to ensure that he would not be the last Missouri State Trooper of color. He worked hard to recruit others, leading to dozens of black troopers joining the patrol. Many interviewed by McPherson personally. His desire for inclusion went beyond color lines. McPherson was also responsible for recruiting the first female troopers to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, including Bridget Hugg, seen here with McPherson in 2016. After leaving the Missouri State Highway Patrol in 1974, McPherson worked in public relations with Motorola until he retired. Now, David McPherson Sr. lives in Georgia, where he enjoys spending time with his wife and grandchildren when they visit. We are still living in a time where the racial tension between some police forces and the communities they serve makes life difficult for both officers and citizens. Over the course of his career, David McPherson not only broke the Missouri State Highway Patrol's color barrier, he worked hard to bring women and other people of color into the ranks. Today, the highways of Missouri are patrolled by more diverse groups of troopers than in decades past, thanks to the efforts of David McPherson.